What is going on, guys? It's Modded Warfare here. Welcome back to another episode of PS4 Jailbreak Tutorials, episode 8. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to run your fake package files off an external hard drive. We're going to look at a few different ways to do this so that you can also do things like still have your external hard drive accessible as a normal storage device while also being able to store your fake package files on your external device as well. So that is what we're going to be covering since it has been requested by quite a few people. And also, I know I haven't been uploading these episodes very frequently lately, like once a week, which was not my initial intention. I do want to put these videos out every few days. There's just some IRL stuff I was dealing with, so I wasn't able to get them out as quickly. So hopefully I should be getting into a faster pace now and get these videos out every few days. So don't forget that this episode is part of a playlist of tutorials that you'll find linked in the description and the cards in the top right hand corner that go through how to make the most out of your jailbroken PS4 on 6.72 or lower. And of course, if a new jailbreak comes out sometime in the near future, then you should still be able to follow this tutorial on that new jailbreak as well. So let's get into this. So the first thing, of course, the most obvious way of getting an external storage device working with your PS4 is just to use the normal method in the PS4 to do that. If you head into devices and you go down to USB storage devices with your external hard drive or USB drive plugged in, then you can select your USB drive, you can format it as extended storage, and then just do, next, format. This device will be formatted as external storage. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. And then that formats your external device. Obviously that will wipe any data that's currently on the drive, so make sure it's a blank drive already and you've backed up any stuff that's on it. And then of course, if you go in here, you go to manage content, then it should be set to the external storage by default. So whenever you install a new game, even if it's a fake package game or something, it should install to the external storage instead of the system storage. And of course, you can copy apps from the system storage by going into the applications and then selecting one, selecting move to external storage. And then you just select the games you want to move, select move, and there you go. It moves them over to the external storage device. So it's really that simple. There's no special thing that you need to do to get fake package files copied and working off an external drive. They'll work just the same as a normal game or app that you have installed on your PS4. So it's really not that big of a deal to get that up and running. As you can see, if I unplug my external drive right now, so if I try and, run GTA 2, it says it cannot be found because it's located on the external drive now. Same with PS4 Explorer. Then if I plug the external drive back in and then try and run PS4 Explorer, and then of course I have to do this whole repair thing because I unplugged it improperly. But yeah, so anyway, but when I plug the drive back in, I'm now able to run those games and apps that are on the external storage device. So there's really no issue that I've seen anyway of doing it this way. If that's all you want to do, you just want to have an external drive that you want for extra space so that you can fit more games and apps on your PS4, then that is totally a valid way to do it. However, this does present a problem if you want to use your external device not just to store fake package files. You basically cannot use the drive for anything else. Once you format it for the PS4, it has to be used for just PS4 applications and nothing else. You cannot copy anything else to it unless, again, you reformat the drive again back to exFAT, but then you'll lose all of the apps that were on it before. So there is a method with the jailbroken PS4 of being able to use the external drive for both storing your fake package files and stuff on, while also having it still in exFAT format so that you can still put package files on it and install them with the debug settings, and also copy save files to it and stuff like that. So you can basically use the same external hard drive for all of those different things. So you might think, well, can I not just partition the drive instead? Do that. Just stop using the external storage after you formatted it. Disconnect your external hard drive from the PS4, plug it into your computer, go on disk management or something, and then resize the partition, create a separate partition that's in exFAT format that you can use for your save files and for your package files and stuff, and for anything else you want to use your external hard drive for, and then leave the other partition, the PS4 format, for your games. Well, that doesn't work either, because when you format your external hard drive for the PS4 and then you plug it into a computer, The format is just complete. It doesn't even recognize that it's formatted. It thinks it's just unallocated space. So when you create a partition, it completely messes up the PS4 partition that's on it. So there is no way that I can see of, setting up multiple partitions. I could be wrong, but by the looks of things, that's not an option. So what we can do is we can use the App2USB payload, which is part of your PS4 exploit for 6.72 or any other PS4 jailbreak version that you're on. If you head into the exploit site, you can see if we go to 6.72, we have the App2USB payload. So let's have a look at how to use App2USB. So if we switch over to the computer here and I go to disk management, so if I type in disk, there's disk mgmt.msc, which is disk management, or on the Windows 10 start menu, you just type in disk and it's, okay, maybe not, you have to type in disk man. And then it comes up and says create and format hard disk partitions, which is the same thing. So yeah, so as you can see here, it thinks it's unallocated space. It's not initialized the drive. So that is the problem with the PS4 formatting the drive, is it makes it completely unusable on anything else. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse that by reformatting the drive. So why did I close disk management? Because that makes no sense. We'll reopen it here. So we'll initialize the disk in MBR and then right click and create a new simple volume, and we'll assign F and we'll make it exFAT format, allocation type default, so just call it USB and finish. All right, so there we go. So we've reformatted the drive so it's workable back on our computer. I did make it MBR for whatever reason. I'm not sure. You could probably change it to GPT if it's larger than like 2 terabytes or something. So anyway, once you've got it working again, we've got our drive accessible now on our computer. Okay, so to configure App2USB, we're going to need to set up a few things in our external drive. So the first thing we're going to do is create a folder called PS4 in uppercase characters in the root of the drive. And then we're going to put the configuration file inside this folder. Now you can get the configuration file. I only seem to find it from the 5.05 version of App2USB. So you can download the 5.05 version right here. Obviously, we're not going to use the 5.05 version. We're just going to grab the configuration file from within here and copy it out to our PS4 folder on our external drive. And this is the old name of the configuration file, which is wrong. You're going to have to rename it because the 6.721 uses a different name. So it needs to be called App2USB, like that. So all lowercase characters, App2USB, and the 2 is the number 2, not the word 2. So make sure you do that, otherwise it will not use your configuration file. So if we open up the configuration file here, there's a bunch of different options. You can skip drive. So uncommenting out these lines, these 2 forward slashes, will enable this function or any of these functions. So skip drive basically means that it will skip this drive. So if you have 2 drives plugged in at the same time and you only want to copy the games to one drive and not the other, then you can put skip drive on whichever drive you're not wanting to use so that the payload will ignore that drive. So easier just to have one drive plugged in at any time. That kind of gets rid of that issue. Also, the mount point is similar. So if you have 2 drives plugged in at the same time, one will be USB 0, one will be USB 1. So you can change between USB 0 and USB 1 by changing this between 0 and 1 to switch between the 2. Again, it's easier just to leave it on 0 and make sure that your external hard drive is going to be the only drive that's plugged in to your PS4. And then you'll be fine. You can uncomment out these 2 forward slashes for check USB. So with check USB enabled, it will check your external drive for any package files on the root of the drive. And when you run the App2USB payload, it will then use those package files on the root of the drive instead of copying the one from the internal drive. So that just kind of saves some time. If you still have any of the original package files that you have installed on your PS4, then you can just copy them to the root of the drive and it will use those ones instead of copying the ones from your internal storage, which saves some time because it won't take as long to just cut and paste a file in the same drive that it's already in, rather than copying it from the internal drive to the external drive, which will take significantly longer on a larger game. Then there's also this rename app option, which is for an older version of App2USB, which named the package files differently. Then you've got disable metadata. So if you don't want it to copy over just the metadata, like the icons and stuff that's quite small and isn't going to take up much space on your internal drive anyway, then you can get rid of that so it doesn't copy those over if you want. Then you've got ignoring updates. So if you want it to leave the game updates on the internal drive, then you can uncomment out this. Same with DLC. And then finally, this is kind of the most important one, is mode move. So what this will do is it will use the list currently in the current configuration with these 2 forward slashes. Any title IDs that you have in this list, it will keep on the internal drive and not touch them, but everything else will be copied over to the external drive. So if that's what you want, if you're wanting to copy pretty much all of your games over, but maybe just leave 1 or 2, then leave it like this and just enter the title IDs into this list of the games that you want to keep on the internal drive, and then everything else will be copied over to the external drive. However, you can change this if you're only going to copy a certain number of games over, just like 1 or 2 games to the external drive, and for the most part you want to keep the majority of your games on the internal drive, then you can get rid of those 2 forward slashes. And in this configuration, then this list will be a list of titles that you want to copy to the external drive, and everything else will be ignored. So it's like the opposite way round, basically. So that's how I'm going to do this, just because I'm only wanting to copy a couple of apps over just as an example, because I'm not really going to be using my external drive generally. So for me, I'm just going to, get rid of those 2 forward slashes and then just put in the title IDs of the games I want to copy over to my external hard drive. So I've got 3 games here that I'm going to copy over, which are things we've installed in the previous episodes that I have installed on my PS4. So we got the Devil May Cry 3 PS2 game and the PS1 game, which was GTA 2, which we installed in the last episode, and then a homebrew app, which is PS4 Explorer. So I'm just going to copy those apps over to the external drive using App2USB. So if you are going to set this up using this method, where you're going to use this list just as the list of games that you want to copy to the external drive, then you need to find the title IDs of those games. So, you can find it with the actual package file here. So, for example, this package file for this PS1 game has this title ID right here, PSHD12346. So I can put that in there. This one here for a PS2 game is SLUS21361. So we can put that in there. And then this one for Lappy's PS4 Explorer, if I open a hex editor and throw it in here, then I'll get the proper package file name here. And this is the title ID right here, Lappy20001. So I can just copy that and paste it in here. I'll link that hex editor in the description. So because I've set it up in this configuration, these 3 titles will be the only apps that it copies to the external drive. However, if I changed it and commented out this line again, then these 3 apps would be the only apps that stay on the internal drive, and everything else would be copied to the external. So you need to make sure you know the difference between those 2. So that's how I'm going to configure it right here, and we should be good to go. So yeah, once you've done that, you can basically unplug your external hard drive now. And the good thing about this, of course, is that we basically have free reign to use this drive normally now. So if I want to install some package files, like if I put Minecraft here on the root of my USB drive, I can use this drive for other things now. So now all we have to do is right click and eject the drive and plug it back into the PS4. So if we go to PS4 6.72, we can run App2USB. On 5.05, there's App2USB as well. And of course, if a new jailbreak comes out like 7.02, then the title of this video and thumbnail will be updated to show that it works on 7.02 or whatever the next jailbreak is in the future. You just go to PS4, let's say it's 7.02, you just go to PS4 7.02 option and run App2USB, because the payload probably won't change that much between different versions. So anyway, if we go ahead and run App2USB 6.72, I'd also recommend don't have any USB devices plugged into your PS4 apart from the external drive when you're running this payload, because you don't want it to mess up. I wouldn't even recommend having the charge cable plugged in for your controller right now. So yeah, just try and run this with nothing else plugged into your PS4, apart from the external drive, to avoid any potential issues. Okay, so now it's moving the apps to the USB. So it's doing Lappy's one that we selected. There you go, Lappy 20001. Now it's doing the PlayStation 1 game we selected, which again shouldn't take long. It's also the reason why I'm doing this as an example. I'm choosing some apps that are quite small, so it's not going to take too long to copy them over. But of course, if you're doing it the other way around, where you're wanting to copy all the games over, and you've used the list of titles as just the list of titles that you want to keep on the internal drive, and you want to copy all the other ones over, then yeah, you're going to be here for a while waiting for all your games to copy over, depending on how many you have and how large they are. Then it could take quite a bit of time. Also depends on the speed of your external drive as well. There you go, 94% complete. Okay, so now it's moving updates, but there shouldn't be any updates. So yeah, there's no updates to copy over. And there you go. So that should be it, I think. Complete. Should be the last message. Yeah, there you go. We're done. So now that we've done that, if we back out here, you should see that those games should still run. Oh, okay, I'm not running Mira anymore because my PS4 is rebooted since I was last on it here, so I'll need to run Mira to be able to run those fake package files. Okay, so now you'll see that if I run the PS1 game, which is one of the ones that's now on the external drive, you should be able to see that it does indeed run. There you go, it's running. And the same with, let's do the homebrew app, Lappy PS4 Explorer by Lappy. You can see that that runs as well. So that's all running. But if I go into the settings and look at my storage settings, you can see that it does not detect any other storage other than the system storage. So it still thinks that these apps are on the system storage, because what it's done is it's created kind of like a link to a folder, right? So it's kind of like there's a link to a folder where the game should be, where the game folder should be. There's a kind of link to that folder on your external drive where the contents of the game and all the actual files for it are stored. So they're all stored on the external drive. They just appear as though they're on the internal drive. So it will still show up as if, you know, you're using up storage on the internal drive when you're actually not. So you can store more things on here. So, you know, it says there's 223 gigabytes being used right now, but in reality, even if this bar loads all the way to the top where it's like you don't have enough space left, you should still be able to, you know, keep installing stuff onto the system storage. That's one of the issues, is that generally you install the game to the internal storage and then copy it out to App2USB. But what you can do is, if you're using up all the storage, all of your internal storage, then you can just copy some of the larger apps to your external drive and then install some more games onto the internal storage and then copy them to the external drive and then install more. So you can still, you know, keep installing a lot of different games using this method. External drive is now unplugged. If I try and run that PS1 game, you can see it says it cannot start the application, data is corrupted. Same with Devil May Cry 3, and the same with, where is it, Lappy PS4 Explorer by Lappy, also the same thing. But if I plug my external drive back in and then wait a few seconds, then try and run PS4 Explorer, keep going. There it is, there we go. So yeah, now it runs. There will be problems with this if you're going to have different drives plugged in at the same time. If you have like another USB drive you plug in first, then you plug in your external hard drive with your games, then it might be on USB 1 now instead of USB 0, so the game will still show up as corrupted as if it's not there. You just have to make sure that you only have your external hard drive as the only storage device plugged into your PS4 at any one time in order for the games to be properly detected. And yeah, it's all working now. Plus, not only that, but we can use our external drive now to do other things like install package files, because it's not limited to only being able to be used to store PS4 games. We can use it for all the other kind of stuff we want to use an external drive for, as well as being able to store our PS4 games on there. So yeah, that's the advantage of App2USB, but you have both methods there. If you prefer to just go with the default normal way of setting up a PS4 storage device, an external storage device using the normal PS4 format, then you can totally do that. It's just you're limited to only being able to use it for your PS4 apps and nothing else, but it is more stable. Or you can use App2USB so that you still have the freedom to be able to use your external hard drive for other stuff. But those are two methods of storing your games and your apps on an external drive. So hope you guys enjoyed the video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.